Hello my friends, you're listening to Ebird Online, and next up on the merry-go-round that we call the 90-Day Fiancé Tell-All, No Limits, we have the show's most recent newlyweds. Yes, that's right, it's Bilal and Shaeeda. Sean welcomes the couple to the stage, and like he always does, Bilal gives Shaeeda the grin of a Labrador, and I think we can all agree that Bilal has a look of insincerity about him. And that's no surprise because he's always being very insincere. He has the face of a man who's always telling bullshit. And Sean asks him, how are things going? And guys, Bilal tells us that he's done a complete 180 and now finally he wants to start a family with Shaeeda. And this is after 2 whole seasons of trying every delaying tactic under the sun. Guys, it's startlingly inadequate to call him weird, for he's that and much more. So suddenly, he's finally agreed to do what he promised Shaeeda before they got married and what he agreed to do legally in the prenup. But guess what? I've got a theory and I think things aren't all that they seem. I think that Bilal is managing the public's perception of him, and I think, as per usual, Shaeeda's along for the ride. But I'm going to flesh out my theory about this a little bit later in this video. Guys, very quickly before we begin, thank you to everyone who's subscribed to my channel, but if you haven't done so yet, please consider subscribing, join the Ebird family, and also if you enjoy my videos, please don't forget to smash the like button, it really does help my analytics. Thanks guys! And so without further ado, I give you Bilal and Shaeeda. So given the fact that Bilal and Shaeeda are now trying for a baby, how many times have they tried? Twice apparently, 2 or 3 Bilal says. What? 2 or 3 times, said Sean. And the rest of the cast guffaw and laugh, as well they might. Andre suggests that perhaps Bilal's not up to it, and Bilal said, no, I'm more capable than you. And Sean laments the fact that we seem to be having a 90-Day Fiancé tell-all sperm off. Ew. And next up we see them go to see a herbalist to help the couple conceive. He gives them some lotions and potions, and also some rather interesting advice. He explains a brand new phenomena to them, which is called edging. And apparently edging is when, during sex, the man's about to, well, how can I say, bring things to fruition. He holds back and thinks about America, and then he does this several times. And finally, when we get to rainbows and unicorns, the sperm is much more potent, much more plentiful, and apparently more agile. And apparently this gives you a much better chance of becoming pregnant. Guys, the Learning Channel TLC are finally going back to their roots. I've honestly never heard of this. Well, I guess you learn something new every day. And today I've learned that Bilal is a much bigger bullshitter and manipulator than ever I thought possible. And the reason I say that is because of this. Bilal then lets everybody know that Shaeeda has too done a 180 and now it's she who seeks to delay starting a family. And guys, the whole of the cast cannot believe their ears. Everybody looks shocked and Shaeeda explains, well, the reason is I want to spend time acclimatising to America and also focusing on my business. Business, Shaeeda? You don't have a business. What are you talking about? And why would she want to set up a business which requires her to be there at the business teaching yoga just to start having children? I smell a rat. No, it's not Big Ed. Unsurprisingly, Sean's quite perplexed. And she says, Shaeeda, your biological clock doesn't recognise when you want to start a new business. And guys, this whole diatribe from Shaeeda makes absolutely no sense at all. And Shaeeda said there are other reasons as well, but I guess we'll get into that a little bit later. And Sean said, we can get into it right now. I'd like to know. And the truth be told, the Ebird would like to know as well. And so, according to Shaeeda, she doesn't want to have a family with Bilal just yet, because there are a few issues, and one of her major issues is of a financial nature. Oh God. She tells Sean she doesn't know how much Bilal earns, and she's still banging on about having a joint bank account. If I were Bilal, I'd give her this joint bank account and I'd put in $50 a month. See what you can do with that. But then she tells us that Bilal said he'll never have a joint bank account with her. And she continues that every single time she wants to purchase something, she has to ask Bilal for the money. And then Bilal says, whenever I give her money, she spends it almost immediately. Of course she does, Bilal, because she only ever asks you for money when she needs to buy something, so of course it goes out straight away. And you seem a thrifty kind of guy. I can't imagine you give her any more than exactly what she needs. And then Sean points out the obvious. What does this have to do with your whole timeline of having a baby? How would having a joint bank account change that? And to be fair, I'd love to know that. What say you, Shaeeda? The thing is... She doesn't seem to be able to answer. Then, quick as a flash, Yara jumps in, and Yara says it's because he doesn't trust her. You have to know how much money somebody has before you have a baby with them. Oh really, Yara? Did Jovi know how much bloody money you had when you had Myla? No, he didn't. You popped up in the Czech Republic with 150 grand that he knew nothing about. Let's have it right. Thanks, Yara, but no thanks. I'd like to hear from Shaeeda, please. And then Shaeeda points out just how tight Bilal is.
To go to the movies, I have to pack snacks from home. Right? You don't even want to buy popcorn.
That's true. I'm not going.
It's very thrifty with money. So I'm packing the Snickers in my bra, something in M&M's in my.
It makes you feel uncomfortable. Like makes you feel uncomfortable.
It's fun.
You don't allow her to buy popcorn at the movie.
He makes her buy popcorn from the gas station. I'm not sure this does an awful lot for Bilal's soi-disant entrepreneur and property mogul shtick. And Shaeeda said whenever Bilal tries to teach me about money, he mansplains and preaches to me, and I already know how to manage money. And then Bilal comes out with one of his pearls of wisdom, and he said just because people are adults doesn't mean they can't learn something new. Bilal, you're trying to teach her how to be a cheapskate and get popcorn from the gas station. It's fair to say that it's perhaps not a skill set that she's interested in acquiring. Bilal wants Shaeeda to get a degree in thrifty fuckwittery. And so then we're treated to a rare sight, one of Bilal's friends, allegedly. And as this guy takes to the stage, dust fills the studio. Guys, he's almost a reincarnation of Kevin Samuels. And then this bozo goes on to tell us that Bilal's got a brilliant, wicked sense of humour, if you pay attention. I'm paying attention to somebody else for the jokes. Bilal's not funny, and no one can convince me he is. But then Sean decides to balance the idiocy, and we welcome Utrice to the stage. And remember, that's Shaeeda's best friend. You know her, come on, crazy eyes. Utrice begins by telling us that Bilal micromanages too many things, and guys, Chris jumps straight in. And he lets us know that Bilal's done loads of things in his life. He's been married before, he's got a couple of kids already, and he runs his own business. Bilal's the head of the family, and as such, he should be able to lead Shaeeda. And this is all well and good. If you want a traditional family where the man leads and the woman follows, that's absolutely fine if you both agree to it. You cannot get somebody who's had their own business, who has a higher educational standard than you do, and then try and impose your will on them and say, you must be led by me. You need to find someone, Bilal, who wants to be led. There are many women for whom that's the ideal. Find one and marry her. And guys, between you and me, I think that's where Bilal goes wrong with his choice of women. If he wants to be dominant, he needs to find somebody very submissive. And from what I can see, Shaeeda and his ex-wife, neither one of them fit the bill. And then Chris lets us know that he's here to defend the rights of all men across America. This makes absolutely no sense. You're here to talk about Bilal. No one's interested in every single man in America. This guy's a bona fide bozo. And speaking of which, we go back to Utrice, and we go back to the VT of her advising Shaeeda to, whoops, forget to take her pill. And every single castmate says, you're dead wrong for that, and I have to agree, you do not trick somebody into having a child. It's absolutely despicable behaviour. She tries to defend herself, but babe, save your breath. It's indefensible. Utrice, you and I both know that's a dastardly plan. And Chris and Utrice then end up arguing, and it goes back and forth. And then Chris pulls out the old trope. Why are you listening to somebody who's not married? What difference does that make? Do women's views suddenly become invalid on production of a decree nisi? I don't think so. And I think even if Utrice did get married, she'd still be a weird swivel-eyed loon. I wager it would make very little difference. Chris is just a short-thumbed inbred and full-time misogynist. We should lock this pair in a room on their own and they can have their weird argument just between themselves. But then what happens next is, well, quite eye-opening. Bilal resplendent in black socks and white trainers. pulls a reluctant Shaeeda to the middle of the 90-Day Fiancé floor, gets down on one knee, displays a baby grow, and asks her to start a family with him. What? Oh God, oh God. Is there nothing that this buffoon won't do for publicity? Oh Bilal, get off your all fours right now because I'm about to walk into that tell-all studio and dog walk you the fuck out of it. Guys, he's something else, he really is something else. I don't believe a word of this diatribe. I cannot remember a time when I've seen such clownery. Well anyway, Shaeeda agrees that she wants to start a family, and there's one thing that's more than likely going to thwart their plans of having kids, and that's the fact that neither one of them could lie bloody straight in bed. They're both a pair of bullcrappers. And then Sean wishes the couple all the best, and that's where we leave things for this tell-all. And again, hopefully with this couple forever. So what does the Ebird make from all of this? Well guys, I told you before, I think that Bilal planned all of this 1-2 flipperoo for both he and Shaeeda, just so he didn't look quite so bad. Because obviously he's been thwarting Shaeeda's wants to have a baby, and he's obviously been looking at social media and realising that he's been, once again, villainised because of it. To me, it's the only thing that makes sense. Now I could understand if he did a 180 on his own and decided, yes, I want to have kids, or if she'd done a 180 on her own and decided, no, I don't want to have kids. But for both of them to do it simultaneously, don't we think that's a bit of a coincidence? And also, Shaeeda does have fertility issues, so there is no reason why she would put anything off for the stupid reasons of focusing on a business that she can't do once she gets pregnant anyway, or getting this joint account. And I've only heard her mention this joint account business at the tell-all with Yara. I've never heard her talk about it previously. There's been absolutely no mention of Shaeeda freezing eggs, so she's still in the same position. So I think Bilal has pulled the strings and made Shaeeda agree to it so he can start to rehabilitate his public perception. And guys, before you start saying this is fanciful or this is a reach, I'm not saying it's definitely true, it's just my theory, but he has done similar before. There is a precedent. Remember how he got Shaeeda to write those posts for him on Instagram? And so it is something I can imagine him doing. So guys, I'd love to hear what you think about this. Please let me know why you think there's this sudden switch around for both of them. Please put your comments down below, and I'm going to get on with my next video. Guys, please don't forget to like and subscribe and all of that good stuff. Thank you so much for listening. You've been listening to Ebird Online, and I bid you good day.